I call this meeting of the Iowa State Student Government Senate to order. We will begin with a roll call, starting with Senator Agba. Senator Becker. Here. Senator Brewick, or Acting Speaker Brewick.
Present.
Senator Burks.
Here.
Senator Dre. Here. Senator Eisma. Senator Engelken. Here. Senator Frencher. Here. Senator Hackbarth. Here. Senator Heidenreich. Senator Holliday. Here. Senator Kamstra. Here. Senator Kohlhaas. Senator Kuehler. Senator Margaret. Senator Matthews. Senator Mays. Senator Moskar. Senator Momini. Senator Patel. Senator Schnepf. Senator Shivraj. Senator Slater. Senator Tansey. Senator Thornton. Senator Topete. Senator Vogt. And Senator Yonting. And with that, we have quorum. We will now move into a Pledge of Allegiance with Acting Speaker Brewick.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we do have a program tonight with President Ludwig recapping the Big 12 Conference. At this time, I would ask that all senators please put their laptops down.
Evening, everyone. As many of you know, a number of us attended the Big 12 Student Government Conference this last weekend in Lawrence, Kansas. So we just wanted to do a presentation to talk about some of the takeaways that we have from the conference and what's coming up in the spring with the Big 12 on the Hill. So if we can just go to the next slide. There's a title to this program, so there we go, and then next slide. And there we go. So just a reminder of who our delegation was. It included myself, Vice President Ulrich, Chief of Staff Roberts. It also included Finance Director Claiborne, Speaker Mahoney, Vice Speaker Brewick, Director Everest, and Senators Patel and Becker. In terms of takeaways, looking at government structures, a lot of the other student governments, as you can imagine, are very similar to our own. Similar executive branches, similar cabinet positions. There are some that we have that they don't, some that they have that we don't, more or less the same. A lot of student governments have EVPs and IVPs, so that's external vice presidents and internal vice presidents. Usually the internal vice presidents are the chair of the Senate, and the external vice presidents handle external affairs. So I think on our end, our Chief of Staff usually acts more as our external vice president, and if we were to compare ourselves. But more or less the same in terms of executive branches. The Senates are, we all have Senates, but they all vary drastically in size and constituency areas and structure. Baylor, for instance, has a class structure, so each class at their school has senators. Some schools only have college senators. Not that many actually have constituency area senators, so that's something that we're more or less unique in. I think there were only about 2 or 3 other schools that actually had representation based on where you lived. And then in terms of judicial branches, more or less the same. Some additional roles. Some schools give their judicial branches more roles in conduct situations and parking tickets. But for the most part, they kind of handle a lot of the same things that ours does. So we can go to the next slide. In terms of relationships with administrations, there's kind of a real array. Not all schools have a super developed relationship with the high-level administrators, such as senior vice presidents or the presidents of their universities. Not all schools, or not all the student governments out there have those meetings like we do. So that was something that I thought was interesting. Not all of them actually meet regularly with their Board of Regents. And actually, some of them, the student body president actually has a seat on their, usually a Board of Governors. And those are usually in states where there's just the one school. So I know WVU, for instance, has a board of governors, and the student body president is one of the governors on that board. We have a somewhat similar system here in Iowa. It's just there's a student regent on our board of regents, and that rotates between the three schools. And then last, not all student governments appoint to so many committees, or university committees, or city committees. There were a couple that have some working relationships with their cities, like we do, and there were others that kind of more or less ignored the city governments. In terms of finances, most operate under a fee system, but some do just get general allocations from their universities, so just kind of a flat amount or an amount based on student population. In terms of the amount of money, we're probably somewhere in the top end of the pack. A lot of schools have around $150,000 to $300,000 or $400,000. There's really only a handful that are in the millions. And then in terms of fees, not many schools have near the same level of control over student fees that we do. I think us and Kansas State are probably the only two schools with any real amount of authority over our student fees. So that was interesting, just knowing that. I think that's a big discussion that we have every year about, what do these fees look like, and we kind of use that power to shape the fees in a way that benefits students. And so I think it's just good to be aware of the fact that not all students at other universities have that power over their structure. But the big thing every year is always project takeaways. One of my favorite parts of these conferences is that we get a chance to see what other student governments are up to, and we get to share what we're up to. And so these were some of the project ideas that other schools are working on that the delegation found interesting. Education on student loan forgiveness was a big thing. I think that's something we probably haven't looked at hard enough, just basically educating students on how they might engage with the program. Intern/first-year involvement programs. A lot of schools have either an intern program for their student government, so like first-year students can be interns for the student government, or they have like a similar, a first-year council similar to the one Iowa State has. I don't know that I like the word intern or that I think anyone would sign up to be a student government intern, but I think we could do a better job of engaging with the first-year council here on campus and engaging with first-year students. And so coming out of the conference, that's something that I think a lot of us are interested in doing. I know that Vice President Ulrich has already reached out to the president of the first-year council to talk about some ways in which we can engage better and kind of bring them into the fold and give them opportunities to pursue leadership positions in student government. Open Syllabi was another interesting project. I think this was coming out of, I want to say, TCU. Basically, when you go to look at classes on like the course catalog online, you would be able to see syllabi for previous semesters or years of that class. So you can kind of figure out what the pace of that class is, what general projects are involved. So you would have a better idea of what the class is and what the expectations for that course are before you actually got involved with it. So that was something that TCU was working on, or it actually already implemented, and so that's something we're kind of interested in pursuing here at Iowa State. I believe it was WVU had a sexual assault prevention committee. That was just something that I think Charlotte pointed out, and we were kind of interested in seeing if that's something we could recreate in our student government or maybe adapt into the university administration. I know there's already some programs, but I think it's a topic that we're all continue to be interested in working on further. So can we kind of expand the breadth or breadth of existing programs here at the university and get them better publicity? There are, at other schools, a lot of their DEI committees have a budget similar to the way that we have budgets for some of our committees. And so one of the things that we were talking about is giving DEI committee the same kind of budget that we give to the student initiatives and the PR committee, so that they can kind of fund small projects that they're working on, events and whatnot. And if they need larger sources of funds, then they can come back to the Senate. And so that's something that I've already talked with Vice Speaker Bruick about in terms of getting a bill together, and I think that might be added tonight or next week just to give them some general dollars. Some schools have a Canvas page for their student government just in terms of resources that the student government provides, that the university provides. And so that's something that I know we've kicked around here in the past, and so I thought it would be interesting to kind of explore that again and look into ways in which we can get information about the resources that we provide in front of the student body in an accessible way. K-State had an engagement like website/app. Basically, the whole idea is if you attended events on campus or engaged with certain programs, you could register that with an app and you would earn points. And at the end of the semester or year, if you have so many points, you can be entered into winning a prize. And so that was just a cool way that they were working to engage their student body back in campus. I know that we've had a real surge in engagement on campus with different events this semester, but I thought it was a really cool way just to like encourage a sense of community on campus and encourage people to get out there and take the most that they can away from being on campus. And then the last thing coming from Baylor was the Student Care and Wellness Fund. This is just like a fund to help students with like small little problems that they might be facing in their life. One of the things they specifically mentioned was like a broken laptop. So like if you broke your laptop, you could come to student government and we would have a fund where we could get you some money to maybe replace that laptop or get it repaired. You know, in those kind of emergency situations where you just don't have the ability to replace that kind of an item by yourself. I thought that was a really unique idea, and I think it's something we should explore. I think especially in this day and age when, you know, having a laptop or a device is so important to so many classes, I think it's really critical that we know that, be aware of the fact that not all students have the ability to kind of replace those resources or come up with them on their own. And we can move on to the next slide. And then in terms of Big 12 on the Hill, I think a lot of it's in a holding pattern right now due to the midterms. We don't really know where Congress is going to be in terms of priorities until after November 8th. And so we didn't talk too much about priorities, but I think the big ones are going to be mental health and affordability. We've kind of been pushing these last 2 years. And so more money for counselors, grants for expanded mental health programs and counselor education. And then in terms of affordability, doubling the Pell Grant has been something we've been working on for the past couple of years. And there's kind of a lot of momentum for that right now. And so there's some hope that it might actually get out of this Congress, so before we would actually go in the spring. But regardless, if it's not, that's something we'd like to pursue again next spring. There's some bipartisan support for that program, just a recognition that the size of the Pell Grant isn't adequate right now, and I think it's something where we feel that we could make a lot of impact in terms of convincing Congress people to support the bill and actually make an impact on the lives of students in terms of affordability. So takeaways, there's a lot of great project ideas that we're really excited about, looking forward to Big 12 on the Hill, and we share a lot of challenges with the other student governments in terms of outreach and engagement with the community, engagement and retention amongst student government members. So how do we make sure that, you know, senators are coming every week, that you all are coming every week, that you're engaged with your committees and with projects, and then budget shortfalls, just in terms of declining enrollment and the effect that that's having on our ability to fund events on campus and make sure that we are funding clubs. That's something that all the student governments are dealing with. And then, of course, no one has anything like SciRide. That's just the takeaway I have every year. SciRide continues to be my baby. But yeah, we can go on to questions. Are there any questions?
You can also ask any member of the delegation if there's any specific questions.
Anything you care about. Okay. Thank you for your time.
All right, with that, we will move into open forum. Open forum is a time for any member of the student body to come forward and can address their concerns to the entire body as a whole. If there's anyone in here for open forum tonight, please approach the podium, state your name and your major. Senators, please keep your laptops closed for this time as well.
Good evening. I'm Colton Masterson. I'm the president of the Mixed Martial Arts Club. My major is mechanical engineering. And this is Louis Gillen. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
I'm Luis Guillen. I'm the race manager of the MMA club here at ISU.
So back in the spring semester, we were holding an unofficial activity in our club space. We operated out of the wrestling room in the basement of State Gym. and the videos of that activity were uploaded to our club Instagram page. It was a sparring session, which student engagement saw the video and effectively shut our club down. They took away our access to use recreation services facilities. And yeah, I mean, that's really it. Kind of here to find out where we can go from there. Anybody have any questions or comments about that?
I'll address President Ludwig to this one.
Yeah. Hello. Hi. Yeah, I can connect with you after this meeting if you want. We can have an in-depth conversation about how we might resolve this process for you.
All
Does
right.
that sound good?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, awesome.
Senator Kamstra?
Senator Kamstra. I'm wondering a little bit, I know there's a little bit of issues with accountability. I know Weight Club had a similar issue at the basement of Bayer Hall with injuries and stuff like that. So what they did was establish a program where there needed to be 3 gentlemen in there at any point in time to keep each other accountable. And they also had cameras installed in there for rec services to monitor the activity. What kind of ideas do you guys have to keep your clubs accountable moving forward so that we don't have to run into issues like this again?
Yeah.
So pretty much, we were talking with Nick, and the main activity that it's basically a problem for the student engagement is sparring, right? So we will be more than glad to just eliminate that activity as long as they can keep giving us the space for us to train there, right? We have been also, since this club started, so 1 year ago, we've been doing all the necessary setups. So all our practices are within, safety practices. We are not going crazy. There's always new people coming in, people that have been already practicing the sport for a couple of months, a couple of years. So we are aware of each level. And then we're also aware of safety, and we've been doing this for years, so we know what we're doing. But I think we're, I mean, that will be the way. We are willing to eliminate the sparring part as long as we can keep practicing.
Then one other question. The boxing club also has similar, different types of, obviously, I don't know if they're sparring levels as your guys's, but they have an introductory course to their club where, I'm not sure if it's required, but I had a close friend of mine go through that class before he was allowed to join that club. Do you guys have any similar process for somebody that's interested in joining so that they can learn the safe way to perform martial arts and other things like that?
First of all, we do not spar, we didn't used to do sparring sessions as in the boxing club because that was too intense. And then for new people, we are not taking new people and just go spar right away. No, we first form them on the technique part, like throwing punches in the air, kicks in the air, and then all these things very aware, aside from the people that are actually engaging in a, body-to-body technique. So we're not just, hey, come in, just go strike, or go do this, do that. No, we just form them in the technique, in every art, and then start making the transition into body-to-body technique, interaction.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. I have my time.
Thank you.
Oh, please.
I would say, I think
come
there are
back.
still some,
I'm so sorry.
I was going to say, I think there are still some questions if you guys are interested. Senator Becker?
Yes, so it seems you're well aware of Boxing Club. My question is, from an outsider's perspective, what would make your club appear more dangerous? Like, I understand you're saying it's not and it's safe, but why on the outside would student engagement think your club has more risk to it than Boxing Club?
Probably because they don't know the sport too much in depth, and also they haven't been in our practices, and they haven't been in the boxing practices either. So
Okay.
yeah,
There's just not a video of the Boxing Club.
yeah.
Okay.
I've been there. I've sparred in the boxing club as well, so I know what's up.
Okay.
All right, Senator Frencher.
I just want to say I was in the MMA club for like 2 sessions, last year. Complete beginner. I did not know what I was doing, and before like I was anywhere near throwing any kicks or anything at other people, even with protection, they made sure that I got down the proper technique, made sure it was safe. Yeah.
Senator Topete.
I know you talk about wanting to get rid of the sparring, but is there any way, because it sounds like you guys don't want to get rid of that, is there any like document that you would want to write up to where it's like a waiver type, so kids that do want to spar are able to and would like make something of this club, like they want to really get involved into this club? Like, is that where you guys are wanting to go, or are you really wanting to get completely rid of the sparring?
So back when this whole situation came about in the spring semester, the agreement we came to with student engagement was we should have a contract that every student abides by. We already had a consent waiver saying you're not liable and all that good stuff, but yes, that is the route we would like to go, bit contract per se to.
So you would
Follow.
like to keep the sparring? Okay.
Sure, yeah, we're open to do such a document, because they're also signing waivers when they are enrolling in the club.
Yeah.
And then in the waiver, they say, if you are signing, and these are the risks that you're taking, this is a club that does these type of activities, so based on this, sign the waiver. But of course, for them, that's not enough, so if we have to do such a document, we will definitely.
You'll write a new one?
Yep.
New one?
Yep.
That sounds good.
Senator Patel.
Hi, so I was just curious if there's anything, other activities like such as sparring that could cause conflict with student engagement, and if you have any plans of like getting rid of them or doing anything to those activities as well.
No, the live situations such as sparring is really the only thing they brought up that was an issue. And yeah, we are willing to get rid of that if necessary.
Got it, thank you.
Yeah.
Also, just to bring it quickly, like, we are not affiliated to any organization in the Midwest, as for example, the martial arts club, the boxing club, or the wrestling club, because they do compete. So I know that competing helps to bring, popularity to the club, and then also to student engagement as well. But we were just building the process of going into that, starting from zero, teaching students how to defend themselves and start fighting in a safely environment, and then later on have like a possibility to connect with these organizations, and then maybe they wanted to compete, and we could open up those opportunities. But it takes some time in order for that to happen.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. With that, we will move into adopting tonight's agenda. Yes, Vice Speaker Brooke, or Speaker Brooke.
I move to add Senators Heisma and Topete to the roll.
Is there any objection to adding them to the roll? All right, they've been added.
I move to add 2022-2-012F, Funding Black Student Alliance, to the bottom of new business.
All right, there has been a motion. Is there a second? It's been moved and seconded to add 2022-2-012F, Funding Black Student Association, to the bottom of new business. Is there any objection to doing so? All right, seeing none, it has been added.
Move to adopt tonight's agenda.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt tonight's agenda. Is there any objection to doing so? Seeing none, tonight's agenda has been adopted. We'll now move into the approval of last week's minutes. It's been moved and seconded to approve last week's minutes. Is there any objection to doing so? Seeing none, last week's minutes are approved. We will now begin with committee reports, starting with rules and with Acting Speaker Pruitt.
Hey guys, so Jane's not here, so it's my turn to do the Rules Committee update. How cool, how fun. So it's a pretty chill, pretty easy Rules Committee meeting. We saw, I don't know where he is. There he is. We saw Alex Cecil nominated for a UROC Senate seat, and he was sent favorably by unanimous consent. He's super qualified. He has been here. I think he has a few seconds on me in terms of length of time in student government. His part of the Supreme Court confirmation went just before me. So yeah, he's very qualified, very well experienced, and he will do great in the Senate. Besides that, we didn't see any formal bills or anything else in Rules Committee today, on Sunday, but we did talk more about bylaw rewrite stuff. Looked specifically at the feasance process, which I personally have been overseeing and looking at. We're looking at getting a process set out and possibly some actual language and potentially a bill to be looked at pretty soon to hopefully change our feasance process to make it just better, more well-defined, giving respect for the due process rights of everyone involved. And then we've also talked about some stuff regarding the way voting thresholds are set up in the bylaws and Senate rules, and talked a little bit about election stuff as well. So all in all, we've been just chugging along, looking at all the big bylaw stuff. And that's all I have.
All right, is there any question for me, Acting Speaker Brewick, or any other member of Rules? All right, seeing none, we will move on to Finance Committee with Finance Director Claiborne.
Hello, everybody. This week's Claiborne's Cash Cow was released. In the email you could see that we had no bills this week, but we will have a lot coming up for a lot of money. So please be on the lookout for those in the next coming weeks. Make sure you read through those. If you have any questions about PNC, about accounts, just let me know. We did start our PNC review. We kind of did a rough introduction to PNC, what it is, and kind of what we think. I will probably talk to a few other senators and a few other cabinet members just to see what their opinion on PNC is, because there are some things that I kind of want to be seen not by Finance Committee, because they are kind of confusing and not explicitly said, and also they're not consistent throughout all of PNC. Just want to clean that up. And then we did start talking about annual schedules and timelines, because I pick my classes on Friday. So I kind of know what my general schedule is going through that. And then in the coming weeks, hopefully we will have a Rules and Finance joint bylaw meeting to go over our bylaws, 5 and 9. So if y'all want to look at those, if you have any questions, please let me know. But other than that, just cruising along through Finance. So if any of you have any questions, please let me know.
All right, is there any questions for Finance Director Claiborne? Seeing none, we will move into PR with Director Grensteiner.
Hello, everyone. I hope you're all doing well. So we did just finish filming our first episode of the Student Government Podcast. So right now we're going to be working on editing and branding this week. And we do have another recording session set, so very exciting projects coming up. We're also figuring out details for homecoming outreach. So keep on the lookout from Director Haas and on the MIS page for that. We have also signed up for Painting Victory Lane, which is part of homecoming. We get our dedicated mural, and we get to paint inside of it. So if you have any artistic abilities, or if you would just like to participate, because it would be fun, just communicate that with either Director Haas, Maddie, or I. We are also setting up for After Dark, so keep your eyes out if you want to participate in karaoke. I know it was very popular last time, so if you missed a chance last time, there is another chance. Newsletter content is in the process of being collected, and the newsletter will be released at the end of the month. We have more PR applications coming in, and interviews are scheduled this week and next week. And we will be having a joint meeting with Election Commission this month and be talking about elections, because it will be here before you know it. That's all for me. Thanks.
All right, any questions for Director Grensteiner? Seeing none, we'll move into DE&I Committee with Director Mlowski.
Hello. Hope everyone's having a good hump day. So some of my updates, Sorry, I keep getting so many notifications. So we're still currently working on the town hall. Everything's been approved for the most part, so we're just working on catering now. This goes for all the centers for the respective colleges. I sent out an email about how I would like all of you guys to stay in consistent contact with whoever who's like the lead of DEI for your respective college, since that is an initiative through Iowa State. So if you have any questions on like what that looks like, please reach out to me, or you could even ask now. A lot of the information that our committee has been getting from a lot of the DEI people from respective colleges, we're trying to figure out different ways to relay that information to students. I know Jacob talked about a Canvas page, so if that happened, DEI would love to have like a portion to like put all that information in. And then we're also continuously starting to update our Instagram, and our first graphic will be about cultural appropriation, and that's about it. Thank you.
All right, is there any questions for Director Malowski? Senator Keeler?
Yeah, I think this is, hello? Yeah, I think this is a great initiative, but I guess I'm wondering if you have any specific topics that you would like to bring up when we do speak to our respective colleges' DE&I committee.
So essentially, what this is trying to do is that DEI work at Iowa State is very decentralized. So and this is something that like everyone has acknowledged within various committees and positions. So one thing that we're trying to do is just like centralize that information. So it's not like specific things, but it's just whatever they are doing. So essentially what you should ask them is be like, what are your current initiatives? What are your future initiatives? Like, what are your goals? What does that look like? And how is I as a senator can help support or relay that information to student government and our respective committees, so then we can relay that to other student orgs. Because I even had a meeting with LAS today in BOLD, which is an initiative for them to get students from of various backgrounds of different socioeconomic statuses to like succeed at Iowa State, since graduation rate is so low for multicultural students. And like one of the things that I did there with OB is we emphasize student government and like what that looks like, because they're freshmen and we want to get a variety of groups of different people. So it's more so just the general knowledge, so then freshmen and students like us can know that. And then if you have specific questions on like what those initiatives look like or how that relates to us, the best people to honestly ask is those DEI people, because they'll tell you what they want from you. Like, I don't know as much as they do in terms of DEI work, because they get paid to do this, where we're just like, I just choose to sit on this as student government. So if you were to ask anyone, it's best just to honestly ask them, and they will tell you straight up.
Thank you very much. I yield.
All right. Seeing no further questions, we will move into Student Initiatives Committee with Senator Mays.
Hello. So we met this Monday, and we kind of did some revisions to the safety walk, because where we originally were going to go, we were going to go to residence halls, and then they kind of were like, oh, we already basically do that at residence halls. So now we're kind of changing the location of safety walk. We talked a lot about pumpkin smashing again, and I'm going to be sending stuff to Kit by the end of this week to finalize the outdoor location of that, which we're going to try to do it in front of Beardshire again. A lot of different people are researching ways to make pumpkin smashing a little bit safer and just a little bit better run this time around. I mean, the first time I think it went okay, but there's still obviously ways we can improve it, and we want to make it as safe as possible. And then finally, we kind of talked a bit about next semester, and some ideas got thrown around. So if anybody, even if you're not an SI, has any ideas of general events or initiatives that you'd like us to look into, I'd love to hear them. And we do have open Senate seats still, so if any senators are interested in joining, let me know. Thank you.
All right. Is there any questions for Senator Mays? Seeing none, we will move into local affairs with Senator Margaret.
So the agenda for that, it's pretty much finalized, and when that's finalized in the next day or so, Director Garman will be emailing that to all of you. We just want to emphasize that that's a great thing to be looking over ahead of the meeting, so you kind of have ideas for concerns, questions, or constructive feedback, other ideas you might have to bring to the meeting. We want as many people to contribute as possible. Maybe that means taking the agenda to your constituency council or constituencies, depending on what the issue is. A lot of these issues definitely apply to all students, but also might apply more specifically to like fraternities or off-campus or whatever based on infrastructure. So just talk with whoever you need about that, get some feedback. And then secondly, today was the first day of in-person voting in Story County. So if you're registered to vote in Story County, just really want to promote early voting is a really great thing to take advantage of because obviously our schedules might be changing a bit. It might be hard to make election day. And going earlier just gives you some flexibility and you make sure you can get that done. So early access voting will go up until Election Day on November 8th. That's a Tuesday. It will take place at the Story County Administration Building in Nevada. And also another reminder, if you want to vote by absentee ballot, you need to fill out a request for that by this coming Monday. And just take this also as a reminder if you're planning on voting in your home state, if that's somewhere else. Just keep yourself familiar with whatever the policy is there for the midterms and make sure you don't miss deadlines so you can still cast your ballot. And so lastly, I have this wonderful card which was provided to local affairs by the Ames and Story County League of Women Voters. I don't have enough of these to pass out, unfortunately, but all this is it has a great QR code on it that takes you to a website where you can look at Story County's candidates specifically for the local level. And so I'll be putting that link on Teams after this. I encourage you to go look at that, familiarize yourself a little bit. Just makes the process of voting a little bit less stressful. You can be more informed when you vote. We just want to emphasize that voting for local candidates is very much as important as voting for state candidates, which might get a little bit more publicity. So it's a great resource to share with other students as well. So I think that's all I have. Be on the lookout for the email from Director Garman and go vote. Thanks.
All right, is there any questions for Senator Margaret or anybody else of Local Affairs Committee? Seeing none, we will move into Sustainability Committee with Director Vanderkamp.
So first off, I'm loving all the green. I know it's for Green Dot, but I'm also going to tell myself secretly that it's for Campus Sustainability Month, which is coincidentally this month. On that note, next Tuesday we're actually doing tabling, so student government will be part of that, so our committee will be there. But there'll also be the Green Umbrella, some other people. It'll be taking place right in front of Parks Library from 10 to 2. So if you have a free minute, just stop by. Assuming Live Green, or I know Live Green will be there, but assuming they're giving out some of the same stuff, there'll probably be some like reusable silverware that you could get from them, some straws if you're looking for metal straws. I know that's always a plus, some things like that. So I highly encourage you to stop by. Also, one other thing, I can't remember if I talked about this last week, but we're looking at revising the Green Initiatives Fund, and specifically from a bylaws type of lens as well. So if you have any comments or things that you think would be more applicable to people in your constituencies of making it easier for them to use that fund and promote social, economic, or environmental sustainability, please feel free to reach out to Kat, me, or Eddie as well when it comes to that process.
All right, is there any questions for Director Vanderkamp? Seeing none, we will move into our Health and Wellness Committee with Director Everest.
Howdy, y'all. I've got a decent amount of stuff. First off, thank you for participating in Green Dot Action Month. Thank you to anyone who did their Green Dot training. I really appreciate it. I know I'm not wearing green. Green was my high school color, and I threw it all away. So I have my pin on. Otherwise, I have my first meeting tomorrow in my menstruation equity project. I have coincidentally now founded the Menstrual Equity Task Force on campus. So it's with the LGBTQIA+ Success Center, Health and Wellness, the Sloss House, several other organizations on campus. So that's exciting. We're going to start seeing some funding come through for those initial dispensers in the Memorial Union in the next few weeks. So I'm really excited to actually get those products into those bathrooms. The last Party Smart, so sad, is next Thursday, the 27th. The sign up is on the MIS, and I have been in direct contact with Kinsey, who has the ISU PD therapy dogs, and she assured me that one of the dogs will be there. So come hang out with me and some cute golden retrievers and talk about how everyone can have a safe game day. I have some at-large seats, but they're slowly starting to fill. If you have anyone who's interested, give them my number or my email off the MIS, or if they want to reach out to me on social media or anything like that, I'm more than happy to chat with them. And then stay safe and stay warm. It is getting cooler. Please don't be a hero. Please wear a hat and mittens and pants. Please don't be a hero. It's not worth it. Stay safe, stay warm. If you need additional resources, winter clothes, things like that, let me know. I can get you in touch with some resources so we can get you what you need to stay warm. Thank you.
Is there any questions for Director Everest? All right, I will just throw out there with the Green Dot training, at some point, probably in November, I'm actually planning on having one of the programs just be Green Dot training for all of us. I just couldn't quite schedule it this month with the programs that we had and everything else happening this month. All right, we will now move into comments from the judicial branch with Associate Justice. No, Scott, yeah. My brain did not work there.
You're
for a
good.
moment.
Hey guys, so judiciary is going good. We decided to take up that initiative to archive some of those documents that y'all have been hoarding in the basement for a while. So just trying to figure out how to get access to that and actually take in the action phase of that. Beyond that, we are also trying to just work with Election Commission, just as there hasn't been a whole lot of communication or interaction between us for the past, I don't know how long, my recent memory really. But yeah, just trying to meet with them. It's going to happen tomorrow, but meet with them, see where we can collaborate, work together, and build a better future together. And that is it for the judicial branch.
All right, is there any questions for Associate Justice Scott? Seeing none, we will move into comments from our advisor with Sophie.
Hello, everyone. I think we're on the 10th week, 9th? Okay, wow. I wanted to say that the last Leaders Workshop Series is coming up next week on October 25th. It's for transitioning organizations. So if you are part of any other organizations or want to start working on your transition documents early, I would highly recommend attending it. It is from 4 to 5 in room 3512 up on the 3rd floor of the Memorial Union. Just as another reminder, if you're ever working on any projects or want to talk about things, please let me know. I'm more than happy to set up a meeting with you. That's it.
All right, we'll now move into comments with the executive branch with President Ludwig.
All right, I'll keep this short, unless you weren't paying attention at the start of the meeting. Obviously, there was a Big 12 conference this last weekend, so that was something that I did over the last week. Additionally, Vice President Ulrich and myself met with the President and Vice President of GPSS earlier this week to just talk about ways that we can collaborate, talking about a potential joint meeting, talking about some projects that we can maybe work together on. So just generally trying to outline how we can work together better, coordinate some of our strategies, especially when it comes to advocating for policies down at the State House. They usually go down there themselves as well, so just kind of coordinating our messaging and then potentially just going together is something that we're looking to do. So we'll see how that pans out, and I think we're actually going to be setting up monthly meetings with them so we can kind of have that continuous contact with their executive leadership. Yesterday, I, along with ex officio Garmin, met with the mayor of Ames to talk about the topics for next week's meeting. So those will be getting sent out to you hopefully tomorrow, maybe the day after. But please, please, please look at that. We've set aside 2 hours for the joint meeting with the City Council. It's an excellent opportunity to talk with the city about how we can work together, some of the shared challenges we're facing. I know one of the things that we're going to be talking about is going to be Cyclone Welcome Weekend. So if you have thoughts about how that went, how we can do that better, how we can better communicate about some of the increased fines and fees to students in the community so they know that if they party too loudly or are a disturbance or if they're parking incorrectly on the streets, that they're going to pay a lot of money for that. And so that's going to be a big discussion. So come with some thoughts prepared for that and some of the other topics that will be on the list. That'll be, like I said, coming out to you in the next couple of days. From there, I think the only other things is I'll be meeting with Dr. Tori Unger later this week and the university's federal relations officer, just talk about priorities, our monthly check-in, and making sure that everything's going all great. Are there any questions?
All right, seeing no questions, we will now move into internal matters, special orders, starting with 2022-2-025SD, confirming the nomination of an off-campus senator with Acting Speaker Pruitt.
Mr. President, before that, can I move to add Senator Mascar to the roll?
There has been a motion to add Senator Mascar to the roll. Is there any objection to doing so? Seeing none, they have been added.
And then beyond that, Alex, if you could go up to the podium. So yeah, I talked about this earlier, but Alex is nominated for a UROC seat. He's very qualified, and just let him talk about why he's so cool and great.
All right. Yeah, so I'm assuming most of you all know me because I've been on the court for the last 2.5 years. But I felt that I wanted to be a bit more of an advocate for students and do something positive on campus that wasn't just benefiting us. And I've worked to get to the court where it is. But I think it's time for someone else to take the reins on that. And I think I can work on some projects with Senate to do better on campus. So, yeah.
All right. Is there any questions for the room? Senator Matthews?
What committees are you thinking about joining?
That's a hard question only because I kind of want to join a lot of them. So I don't really have a direction. I have an interest on some level with every committee, just what they work on. Sustainability would be really cool, just because that's kind of where I want to go in my career a little bit. But yeah, I don't really have a preference because I kind of want to, I don't know. But I definitely want to be on a few of them, so yeah.
All right. Acting Speaker Brewick?
Hi, Alex. So I just had a question, a unique question, because not very many people have your resume. Do you think your time as Chief Justice and as a former Chief Officer will inform and help your role as a senator? And if so, how do you think that will help?
Kind of. Being in Senate's very different than being a chief officer, especially from the court. But just my time on the court has changed me to be better at communicating, but also better at arguing, if that makes any sense. When I joined the court, I was pretty timid, would not have stood up here comfortably. I think I sweat through the shirt that I was wearing that night. And I was scared of being in front of a bunch of people, and just having the opportunity to like slowly work my way to be talking in front of a bunch of people and being a chief officer has really made it where I have the confidence where, you know, I want to reach out to students and I want to talk to them and see what they need and actually be a resource more than just like waiting for them to come to me, so.
All right. Senator Eisma?
What projects do you have in mind specifically?
First one that comes to mind, I would like to pursue some clarifications on some of the mental health resources around campus. In the last year, I kind of struggled to get access to a lot of them. And there have been a couple that have popped up that really don't, either are not showing what they do well or have not explained it well. And I think it'd be good to kind of work as a group to kind of build like a resource where they can see that, where students can come and see it, and it's kind of just, you know, right out there. Because that would have been nice to have when I was looking for that kind of help, and it wasn't really there, so.
All right. Acting Vice Speaker Thornton?
Did you find someone to fill a judicial seat before you left?
No, but the court was well within quorum, and everyone on there is definitely capable of handling it. And if they wanted me to help with that, I would certainly be happy to, but that's not really my position as the president is responsible for finding those. I did discuss it with him before I decided to do what I did, because I didn't want to just, you know, leave it there. But when I left, it was full, so there's only one vacancy. So with any luck, we will not have a struggle to reach quorum on the court, but if so, I'm more than happy to help figure that out, so.
Okay. How do you feel leaving your post technically before like your term expired, since your term is until graduation?
Well, I have a little over 1.5 years until I graduate because I am a double major. And I started my second semester here, so I'm sad to leave, a little scared at what Senate is, because I'm still a little scared of people. Just, I think that's fair. We all kind of are, but little sad because I did put a lot into it, and I will miss it, and I'm still going to communicate with them and see what I can do on that end. But I think it's good to have fresh eyes on what the court's doing, because I was still looking at it as if it wasn't existing, and it is definitely where it is. I mean, Andrew and I were both part of the groups that really got it off the ground, and we built a platform for it, but I don't think we're the ones that were there to build it up further. So yeah, I think it was just time for some overturn over there, and I think I can do more good over here just because I kind of know the ins and outs of the school a little bit, and I have connections in different departments because I am a double major and I am a bit of a teacher's pet. And that's worked out really well for me, and I hope I can make it work for other people so I can do some good. So.
Thank you.
All right, Senator Angleton.
I move to remove Senator Mays from the roll.
All right, there has been a motion to move Senator Mays from the roll. Is there any objection to doing so? All right, seeing none, she has been removed. There has been a call to question and a second. Is there any objection to voting now? Seeing none, we'll now move into vote. UC has been called for. Is there any objection to passing this bill by way of unanimous consent? Seeing none, this bill passes. Congratulations. You know the drill at this point.
All right. We're doing this now. Please repeat after me. I solemnly swear and affirm
I solemnly swear and affirm
to execute the duties of my position
to execute the duties of my position
as prescribed by the Constitution
as prescribed by the Constitution
and the laws of the government
and the laws of the government
for the benefit of all students.
for the benefit of all students.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Senator Cecil. All right, we will now move into new business, starting with 2022-2-011F, funding student government by vibes with Senator Holliday.
Hey everyone. So this is my first time doing this, so bear with me. But so the reasoning behind this bill is to kind of build a community within student government. So we have a lot of people, and we're all still kind of working to get to know one another. We all sit pretty much in the same seats every week. We go to the same office hours every week. So we don't necessarily get to intermix with one another a whole lot. So we're kind of just getting to see the same people every week. So I guess talking with various senators and people serving on student government, we thought that music kind of serves as a sense of culture and building a community. And so we found that possibly by funding Spotify Premium for use in the Senate office as well as any outside events such as the Multicultural Town Hall, the Party Smart event that Charlotte will be holding or has been holding, and any other events that student government is a part of coming up, this will be beneficial to have because we kind of discussed that ads kind of kill the vibe. So we are funding for student government vibes.
All right, is there any questions of intent for Senator Holliday? Acting Vice Speaker Thornton?
Do you intend to ask any constituents about this?
Do I have to answer?
Yes or no?
Yes.
All right, Senator Kamstra?
Who's going to be in control of the Spotify account? Okay. I rescind my question.
Senator Yonting?
Do you think this is a misuse of student activities fees?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
Do you think this is a misuse of student activities fees?
No.
Acting Speaker Bruick?
Do you intend for this to be taken from the Senate discretionary account as it currently is displayed?
Yes. No. No.
Senator Angleton?
I move to add Senator Mays back to the roll.
There has been a motion to add Senator Mays to the roll. Is there any objection to doing so? Seeing none, she has been added. Senator Becker?
I yield my time to Director Lent.
Is a feasible alternative to this just having someone that has Spotify Premium logging in? Okay.
All right. Senator Mays?
Is it a possibility that we could consider just one person buying it and then anybody interested in the Spotify just Venmoing them?
Yes?
All right. Seeing no further questions, we will move into 2022-2-012F. Yep. There has been a motion to add Senator Cecil to the roll. Is there any objection to doing so? Seeing none, he has been added. And as I begin, we will move into 2022-2-012F, Funding Black Student Alliance, with Senator Agba.
I will delegate my time to Director Milski.
Hello. So basically, this bill, as everyone knows, homecoming is coming up, and so a lot of the Black executive boards decided that to enhance culture and community, they want to do their own Black homecoming. So this will be a 6-day event. It'll be Monday through Saturday, and it'll be collaborations between BSA, which is Black Student Alliance, ASA, which is African Student Association, NSBE, which is the National Society of Black Engineers, and NPHC, which is the National Pan-Hellenic Council. So each organization will have their own day, and there'll be 2 days of collaboration as well. This event is essentially just trying to emphasize community within Iowa State for not only Black students, but students of color, since that is obviously something lacking, since we are one in Iowa and at a PWI, and retention and graduation rates are low for students of color. As this is a national statistic, but in Iowa State it is prevalent as well. And a lot of studies and research shown that one of the ways that you can combat this is through building community and ways for people to feel comfortable, confident, and safe, and just do things together that they enjoy. So yes, thank you.
All right. Is there any questions of intent for Senator Agba or Director Milowski? Senator Schnepf?
I'm just curious, like, can everyone participate in this, or is it only people of color? Like, how does that kind of look?
So since Iowa State is a publicly funded... Oh, I'm so sorry. Yes, anyone can attend.
Can everyone participate in this?
Yes.
Senator Yonting?
Does the organizations mentioned in this, like BSA and the other organization, do they intend to attempt to raise funds and not just asking from us everything?
Right now, no.
Senator Becker?
Have you talked to like the overall homecoming committee, which we already fund, what like excess funds might be available for this event? Because I know that a lot of their stuff kind of got pushed around this year, so there might be money available.
No.
All right. Is there any further questions of intent? Seeing none, we will move into closing announcements. Is there anybody with closing announcements? Senator Schnepf?
I just want to bring up, because of the joint meeting next week, I just suggest everybody to wear like really nice clothes. We are going to be around the mayor, a bunch of like city council people, so just making sure that you look the best is really important, and it shows a good foot forward for ISU University, StuGov. So yeah, thank you.
All right. Director Haas?
Can everyone wearing green stay after for a quick picture? Thank you.
Is there any other announcement? Senator Kamstra?
Last week, IFC, I had to leave early. IFC had their elections for the new IFC president. I'm hoping to, in the future, get him to come and introduce himself so that we can have a little bit more collaboration. You guys can ask him questions, what he would like to do with the Interfraternity Council and other things like that. And then IFC is also holding their elections the next 2 weeks. So, yeah, if you have any questions about like how IFC runs and stuff like that, I'd love to answer those because I know I had a realization in some of the conversations I had over the last week that a lot of people don't know how Greek life works. So, yeah. Feel free to reach out and we can have a conversation. I'd love to get coffee. So, yeah.
All right. Any last announcements before we kind of move across this? All right. I'll throw in my 2 cents quick before I move it along. As Senator Schnepp said, and many others have said, we do have the City Council meeting next week. Basically, just a quick lowdown of how that'll work. We will have a joint meeting. Everyone will sit in a circle. I am going to assign seats just so that we kind of intersperse people with both members of City Council and members of student government. That'll be from 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock. In the past, we've only had an hour, and we've found that we've pretty much ran over every single time. We end up getting into some really good discussions with the City of Ames. We have a great relationship with them. This is a really cool opportunity and a great chance to continue to have that dialogue with them. And as Senator Schnepp alluded to, we do ask that you maybe dress up a little bit more formal. I know I will be in some form of a suit next week. Obviously, if you can't, that's okay. But it is, yeah. Aside from that, we will start seeing some more bigger bills coming up in the next couple of weeks. There's going to be a couple bylaw bills. We're finding that there maybe is some changes that we do want to make now rather than just in the rewrite project. You know, or when we see those a couple months from now. There also will be some election bills. We do have to approve the election timeline as well as the election apportionments. We'll see those bills starting next week. If you did not get the agenda for this week, please let me know so I can make sure you get added on the listserv. I know I heard from Senator Kamstra that he did not get added. If anybody else did not get the agenda this week, please let me know. One thing I did want to throw out, it's tentative. I'm not 100% sure if we're going to do it yet, but there has been a lot of interest in the Nicole Hannah-Jones lecture for the 1619 project. That actually happens at 6 o'clock on Wednesday. So we may actually push Senate back about an hour so that interested members of the body can attend to that. I know there's been a lot of interest for it, so I think that's something we'll try to do. That's on November 2nd. Finally, as Jamie Haas, or Director Haas said, please stay for the picture after. And I will turn it over to Acting Vice Speaker, or starting with Acting Vice Speaker Thornton for closing announcements.
So I'm graduating this December. What that really means is that if you're interested in joining rules, we're going to have an opening. So please consider joining a couple of our meetings for the remaining of the semester, just so you can see how we operate. If you are interested, this is a cool opportunity. So it'll be easier to join the committee if you already have an idea of how we work. Because we're going to start working on bylaw rewrites and contract review. It's not mandatory to attend a couple of our meetings before applying to join, but it will be helpful if this is something that you're interested in. I just wanted to let you know ahead of time so you could have it on your radar.
Yeah, and if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. Acting Speaker Brooke.
Just to echo what Acting Vice Speaker Thornton just said, I basically did something similar to this. At the end of last semester, I attended basically every rules meeting after I became a senator, after my time as Chief Justice, and it really does help and prepare you for just a vague idea, at least, of what's going on in rules, and you know, it's cool to be there and understand the process before you're actually in something. It's not a thing that a lot of people get to do. With that, the only closing announcement I have is to do with the mentorship program. I'll turn it over to who?
Finance Director Claiborne.
All right, I'll turn it over to Finance Director
Yeah,
Claiborne.
sorry to disturb y'all, but if you do not have keycard access to the student government office, please come to Sophie and I after this, so we can get you access into the database and then access to the door. So just please let us know. Sorry. Thank you.
Anyway, Senate mentorship. I met for my one-on-one with Sophie today, and we are meeting on Friday with Elizabeth Householder, who does, I forget what her official title is.
It's Housing Administration Director.
But the basic idea is that we're going to look at, I'm not going to remember that. the that we're looking at effective ways to collect data for the survey that I've been working on to gather perspectives on a future reconstruction of the mentor-mentee program. And we also discussed some projects in the meantime. Nothing's too set in stone about what that kind of interim program is going to look like, but at present, the idea is some working meetings before Senate meetings that will cover major topics that are important to what it means to be a senator. So those are big ideas on the horizon, and they should be, being implemented relatively soon in the grand scheme of things. So keep an eye out for that. You'll see some stuff from me pretty soon, and that should be pretty rad, With that, seeing no other little things, I move to adjourn. Go Cyclones.
All right, it has been moved and seconded to adjourn. I call this meeting to adjourn.
No.